I want to make 2 points. I'm just going to make everybody mad, but I think this needs to be said. There are a lot of people on the right, including a lot of people in talk radio, saying, what about the media handling of the riots this summer? Now is not the time to what about what we saw in Washington yesterday. And I think there is a point that needs to be made that I condemned the riots and violence this past summer and thought the police should have been able to use extreme measures to stop the people from burning down cities and storming federal buildings. And I said that on the record. But I also said and noted that I think we on the right need to understand that the anger, the outrage came from people being shot by police. That whether you think they should have been or not, there were people who thought that it was unlawful, and there were instances where it clearly was. Look at what happened with Ahmaud Arbery. Look at what happened with George Floyd. That inspired violence over the summer and riots. Peaceful protests turned to riots. Riots turned to mobs, and the mobs turned violent. And that's what caused it. What happened in Washington yesterday was a group of people believed 2 months worth of lies and conspiracies, and they thought the lies were true and the truth was the lie. And they stormed the United States Congress to stop a democratic action in our republic because they thought they were actually stopping an anti-democratic action. They thought they were the heroes when actually they were the villains, and they believed the lies, and the lies had become truth to them. So this past summer was outrage based on the rage of watching people be killed, George Floyd with a knee on his neck for over 8 minutes, and it turned to violence. People died and people rioted. What happened yesterday was people believed lies and rioted, and people got killed in the process. No one would have died in Washington yesterday had for 2 months Donald Trump and others not lied to them and told them the election was stolen when it wasn't true. There's something else. In the last 12, 14 hours, a lot of progressives had said, well, if these were black people, they would have been shot. I realize in your smug progressivism you think that's true, but here's what you need to understand. I saw this past summer and I condemned the violence. And you know what y'all were doing? Y'all were cheering on a lot of it and trying to justify it, just like a lot of people justified yesterday. You're no better than the people yesterday. But you know what happened? Black Lives Matter's got a street named after him in Washington, D.C., got painted with Black Lives Matters. You got a bunch of people to put black squares on Instagram to virtue signal their solidarity. No one was shot and killed all over the country by the police. No more than what happened yesterday in Washington, D.C. The rioters, they were welcomed, and in some places they were condemned, they were praised. You had Democratic politicians encouraging people to get on the streets. You've had Democrats and progressives say that people needed to get in other people's faces at restaurants and chase them out of restaurants. They've shown up at homes. The police weren't gunning them down. Washington, D.C. burned this summer. The police weren't gunning down everybody. Save me your smug self-righteousness that if this was black people storming the Capitol, it would have happened. No, the media would have said it was a mostly peaceful protest, even as they stood by the wreckage, because that's what they did this past summer. I realize you feel good in your talking point, but you're really no better than the people justifying what happened yesterday, so you can save it.